Klux Klan in Enfield, North Carolina. How she stood against the white supremacists and the racists who fought tooth and nail to keep in place the system of racial apartheid that existed here in America. And I was so lucky to come to meet Willa Cofield. And we are so lucky that she joined the People's Organization for Progress, but she didn't even tell her story, how she lost her job, and her husband lost her job, and how they had to leave North Carolina, like Claudette Colvin had to leave Alabama, and Rosa Parks had to leave Alabama. She sacrificed. We are able to stand here liberated from legal apartheid because of Willa Cofield and women like Willa Cofield.
And I seen this little old lady come into my house. She came over there. I said, okay, great, we're gonna have a good meeting up here. You know, about 10 people came in there, and I will never forget, brothers and sisters, the love and the respect that I get from Dr. Cofield. See, I don't have a file to read about Dr. Cofield, so I come and speak from my heart, just about how good she is and what she's done for me. Because through Dr. Cofield, I'm really 5'4", but I feel like I'm 10 feet tall sometimes. Because sometimes the work that she does and she allows me to do. And you know how there's sometimes you're talking to people, but she always knows the right things to say to me, to make me feel good about me. You know, about little old me, 5'4" inches tall. But I feel like a giant sometimes. So Dr. Cofield has done some amazing work since she's been here in the People's Organization for Progress. One time we were marching in Plainfield, and we were marching on the streets, and we didn't have a permit. A lot of the other women stayed back at the Quaker Meeting House. That's what we were going to march to. They stayed there. But Dr. Cofield didn't do that. She came out there and marched with us, even though we may have been arrested, even though they were threatening us that something could happen. But she was right there with us every step of the way. So I'd like to just read this to her. People's Organization for Progress Women's History Month. Freedom Fighter Award presented to Willa Cofield, an African-American woman history maker, and in recognition of your contributions to the struggle for civil and human rights, for the emancipation of women and the liberation of our people. Power to the People, March 27, 2014. Thank you.
It is a real honor to receive this plaque. It is a real honor to be recognized by people that you know, that people that you love, that people that you have such deep respect for. The People's Organization for Progress is the best run, the best organized group of freedom fighters that I've ever encountered. I know that they know what a freedom fighter looks like. I have, as Steve didn't tell you my age, and maybe I won't tell you either. But I think I'm the oldest member in the People's Organization for Progress. And there's one person who is a year younger than I, who is sitting over there, Jackie. Jackie just said, but I love the idea of being called a freedom fighter because it puts me in the class with people like Ella Baker. And Ella Baker was from the same county that I'm from, but I didn't know that until I was almost middle age. And when I found out that Ella Baker was, I reached out to her, and I actually had a chance to meet her and to talk to her many, many times. So thank you for putting me in that category. I don't know whether many of you know that I used to work in women's history when I was in the Department of Education, and I love women's history, so I love having this particular program, recognizing women. And I would like to accept this award that you're giving me in the name of two of the women who struggled in Enfield, North Carolina. Most of you have probably never heard of Enfield, North Carolina. It's a little town in northeastern North Carolina, and it's where I lived, and where we put up an intense battle against racism and segregation back in 1963 to 1965. And there were two women, particularly one who was my good close friend who died about 4 years ago. Her name was Lily Mason Smith. And Lily was our Rosa Parks. When we had protests in Enfield, we had a bench downtown that old white men sat on and smoked, and no black people were permitted to sit on that bench. That was the way it was. When we had protests downtown, particularly with our young people, Lily Mason Smith would drape her arms over the back of this bench, cross her legs, and sit and look and say, "I dare you put a hand on anyone." The other person actually lives across, somewhere near West Kenny, East Kenny, across Broad Street. Her name is Doris Daniels. And Doris was one of the young women in Enfield who in a demonstration was dragged 2 blocks by police. I mean, literally in the street. She bears the scars on her knees to this day and thrown into jail. So I would like to remember those two young women. The other women that I want to point to are the women of POP. The women of the People's Organization of the backbone of this organization, who works so hard. If you've ever been to our meetings and if you've heard the minutes read, or if you have heard the treasurer's report given, or if you have heard the corresponding secretary, if you have been to any of our protests and you see who's there, our women are so strong and so dedicated. So I want to recognize their contributions. The last group I want to accept this award in their name is just our Black women who keep the world, keep the skies from falling. Where would we be if we did not have our women who get up every morning and fix the breakfast and get the kids ready for school, sometimes take them to the bus stop, sometimes take them to school, who go to work, maybe more than one job, who come home from work and cook dinner and see the kids get their homework done and put them to bed and maybe get a little break at the end of the day. And then they get up the next morning and they do it the same thing. I have worked with a woman who says that is the most important work that gets done. The work that ordinary women do to keep families going. Think about our raising the young, bearing the children, raising the young, taking care of the old, the sick, and the dying. Our women deserve they deserve more, we deserve, more than a month. It ought to be women who stay year round. So, thank you again.
Along with the spirit of resistance of Enfield, North Carolina. That's the giants who led it.